He didn't think he was being cruel. In fact, he thought he was being helpful. He believed that sometimes people need to learn things the hard way. But when he explained exactly how he taught his girlfriend that lesson, Reddit didn't debate. They didn't hesitate. They said what he did crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Welcome back to Internet Court. In this case, the man, we'll call him Marcus, was 29 years old and had been dating his girlfriend Talia for a little over a year. They didn't live together yet, but they spent most nights at Marcus's apartment. From the outside, their relationship looked stable, but Marcus believed there was a problem. Talia, in his words, was too dependent. Marcus described himself as practical. He grew up being told that relying on others made you weak, so when Talia asked him for help, rides, reminders, reassurance, he didn't see it as partnership. He saw it as a flaw. He wrote that he worried about their future. What happens if I'm not always around? That thought planted an idea. One night, Talia told Marcus she had an early interview the next morning. She asked him if he could drive her. Marcus agreed. But as he lay awake later, he decided something. This was the perfect opportunity. If she could handle things on her own, she'd prove him wrong. If she couldn't, well, she'd learn. Marcus set an alarm for himself. Then he turned it off and went back to sleep. Talia woke up late. Her phone battery had died overnight. She rushed, panicked, and asked Marcus why he hadn't woken her. Marcus stayed calm. He told her, "I wanted you to see what happens when you rely on other people." She stared at him, confused, embarrassed, hurt. Talia missed the interview. It wasn't a casual job. It was a position she'd been working toward for months. She cried. Marcus didn't comfort her. He believed this moment mattered more than her feelings. In his Reddit post, Marcus explained that he wasn't trying to be mean. He said he wanted her to grow. Life doesn't give reminders, adults need accountability. He even wrote, "I think this will help her in the long run." Then he asked Reddit if he'd gone too far. The response was immediate and brutal. Top comment, "You sabotaged her future to feel superior." Another said, "This isn't teaching, this is control." Thousands of people upvoted a single phrase. "You're not her partner, you're her judge." A handful of commenters tried to defend him. They argued, she should manage her own alarms. Adults need responsibility. He didn't cause her phone to die. One wrote, "Harsh lesson, but maybe necessary." That comment was buried. Then Marcus added an edit. He thought it would make things clearer. It made everything worse. Marcus admitted that he'd done something similar before, not with interviews, but with plans, rides, and reminders. He said this wasn't the first lesson. Reddit lost it. "So you've been conditioning her. This is emotional manipulation. You don't want a girlfriend. You want control." People weren't analyzing anymore. They were warning her. This story hit hard because it wasn't about alarms. It was about power. Marcus decided unilaterally that he knew better, and he used someone else's vulnerability to prove it. Marcus returned with an update. Talia had stopped staying over. She told him she no longer trusted him. He wrote that he felt misunderstood. "I was trying to help." Reddit responded with one sentence. "Help doesn't feel like betrayal." Weeks later, Talia got another interview. She didn't tell Marcus about it. Marcus said the relationship felt distant, colder. He asked Reddit if things could go back to normal. They said no. The verdict was nearly unanimous. You don't teach lessons in relationships. You offer support, and when you replace care with control, you become the villain. Because the moment someone decides they know better than your pain, that's the moment trust quietly disappears. But what made Reddit angrier wasn't just what Marcus did. It was how calmly he described it. In the comments, Marcus kept repeating the same phrase, "I wasn't trying to hurt her." To him, That seemed like the most important part. To Reddit, it sounded like the opposite. As the thread grew, commenters began asking sharper questions. Had Marcus ever asked Talia how she felt about needing reminders? Had he ever told her this bothered him, or had he simply decided on his own that she needed fixing? Marcus admitted something that changed the tone of the discussion. He had never told her this was a problem. He thought confronting her would be uncomfortable. So instead, he chose the lesson. That admission shifted even some neutral commenters into the critical camp. One highly upvoted comment read, "You avoided communication because it was awkward, but you were fine sabotaging her interview. That tells us everything." Another added, "You didn't want a conversation. You wanted control without resistance." Reddit wasn't just judging the action anymore. They were judging the pattern. As more people asked questions, Marcus filled in more details. Talia relied on him for rides because her car had broken down months earlier. She relied on reminders because she was juggling work, night classes, and job applications. She wasn't careless. She was overwhelmed. Marcus, however, never saw it that way. He wrote, "Everyone has stress. You still have to function." That sentence became a lightning rod. One commenter responded, "You decided she wasn't functioning properly and punished her for it." Another wrote, "You keep saying lesson like you're her teacher. Why do you think you get that role?" At this point, even commenters who initially defended personal responsibility began backing away. Because responsibility is one thing, deliberate sabotage is another. Marcus tried to clarify. He said he thought pain was sometimes necessary for growth. He believed people don't change unless consequences are real. But Reddit saw a dangerous assumption underneath that belief, that he got to decide what consequences someone else deserved. One long comment, heavily awarded, seemed to end the debate. "You weren't teaching her how to be independent. You were teaching her she can't trust you. And that's a lesson relationships don't recover from." That comment stayed pinned near the top. Marcus stopped replying shortly after. Days went by with no updates. People assumed the story was over. Then Marcus returned with one final edit. Marcus said Talia had officially ended the relationship. She told him she couldn't stop replaying the moment she realized he had chosen to let her fail. Not by accident, on purpose. He wrote, "She said she doesn't feel safe depending on me anymore." That word, safe, stood out to everyone. The comments were quieter now, less angry, more final. Once trust is gone, logic doesn't matter. You didn't lose her because of one morning. You lost her because of what that morning revealed. Some even said this story would stay with them, because it exposed something uncomfortable. This wasn't really about alarms, or interviews, or responsibility. It was about what happens when someone decides they know better than your vulnerability, and chooses control instead of care. Marcus ended his post by saying he still didn't believe his intention was wrong, but he admitted the outcome was irreversible. Talia blocked him. She told mutual friends she felt relieved. Marcus said that part hurt the most. Reddit didn't call him evil. They called him dangerous, because harm doesn't always come from anger. Sometimes it comes from calm decisions made without empathy. Because the fastest way to lose someone's trust is to turn their struggle into a lesson. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, be sure to hit like and subscribe.